realize my heart cries are just different things. Bringing up, being a voice to the voiceless, and talking about hard topics, talking about things that many people don't talk about. Uh, I can definitely see on social media, we always show our highlights. We always talk about the good things and things that we overcome, but we never talk about sometimes those valley lows, those moments where we're stuck in between. So my heart cries are just conversations with different people, and I picked um Shanavia Clark first, aka Navy, to be my first guest because she started something. I want to say, was it last year? Yeah, last year she would make these posts about wilderness moments, and I was going through a wilderness moment myself, and I didn't really necessarily tell too many people. So with that, I just started seeing her just constantly posting, talking about it. So I'm like, I need to figure out what she in because I'm in the same thing. But who do I talk to? Who do I tell? And I'm a very private person, but there maybe about three, four people that I can say wholeheartedly open up and speak with and talk about some things. So what I'm going to do now to keep from rambling on and on is give some credentials about sis. You know, I call her sis. Um, about her credentials, and then I'm gonna let her talk a little bit about herself, and then we're gonna get into it. So I'm gonna just read because I don't want to miss nothing. Shanavia Navy Clark is a native of Leaksville and has been a proud crusader for 4 years, serving as a behavioral health specialist in Gulfport. She graduated from Williams Carey University, where she obtained a Bachelor of Science in Psychology, Master of Science in Psychology, and an emphasis in child and adolescent therapy, and a Master of Social Work degree at Southern University of New Orleans. Shanavia believes in total wellness and healing of the mind, the body, and soul. She believes therapy shouldn't be approached as a one size fit all. She should be it should be characterized experience. She enjoys thinking outside the box, introducing her clients to different sides of therapy. She believes in healing is a journey, not a destination. Boy, that's that right there. That's the one. Every day is a new day to learn, grow, and heal. She's also an author of Choose You Sis, a journal for self-care, a radio panelist of DKM Morning Show, host of Self-Care Saturdays, creator of Choose You Sis, the workshop, and an active member of her church at New Covenant Ministries. Now I'm gonna let Miss Shanavia Clark talk herself. Go ahead, introduce yourself, sis. So tell us some things about you
Oh,
that I did say.
you kind of said it all right there. Like that is me in a nutshell as far as who I am between the hours of 9 to 5, and a little bit of who I am before and after those hours. I made no apologies for who I am as an individual, because what you see is what you get. Monday through Sunday, whether I'm at work or at church, I am who I am, and I make no apologies for it now.
Now,
Um, it's funny that a year later we're having this conversation, because you and I met, kind of sort of met,
right?
in a women's group, through a
Mm-hmm.
mutual friend and sister in Christ of ours. Shout out to Ty, because that is who uh, was the instrument, I feel, that God used to link us together, and it's been on and popping since then.
Mm-hmm.
And it's interesting that almost to the day, I had to bring out my notebook, because whenever I started doing this, and you'll see that day, August the 12th at the top,
Wow.
almost a year oh Lord, my bad, y'all.
It
Lord,
would be you.
it
It
would
would be
not
you.
be so, almost a year to the date. I had started writing about the woman in the wilderness, and that's kind of how this whole wilderness experience was birthed. At first, I was waiting on a word from God to let me know what the theme was going to be this year for my Choose You Sis workshop. This was the second year. that I'm hosting it. And so I'm super excited about that. Last year was just kind of like, okay, let me get my feet wet and see what people are interested in and what I can do. And this year I wanted it to mean something so much more. I just had no clue
Mm-hmm.
what I was going to have to endure in order for that to be birthed. And I was listening to a sermon and it referenced this wild woman. And the sermon was from Sarah Jakes, and it was talking about the lady in the wilderness from Revelation 12, 1 through 6. And I'm like, I've never, let me pause right quick. I'm a recovering heathen, y'all. I don't know. I'm not a biblical scholar. I
Right.
don't know everything. So this was my first time hearing about this woman in the wilderness. And for her, her sermon was like, dare to be a wild woman. And I'm just like, yeah, I'm a wild woman. Yes, I can relate. Because I'm just like, okay, and I'm just like, ooh, but how many other women are going through a wilderness experience? And I'm
Mm-hmm.
thinking at that time, this is something that I'm like, yes, I've definitely been in what I would consider a wilderness in my past and growing up, and dealing with some childhood traumas and things of that nature. I had no clue the wilderness I was about to get ready to walk through, though. No.
Ooh.
So yeah, that's how the whole wilderness experience came about. It was therapy for me
Wow.
because I could not and did not know how to reference and talk about what I was going through other than just that, because there was no blueprint before me to go through
Mm.
that. I couldn't reference my mom. I couldn't reference my aunt. I couldn't reference any of my other spiritual leaders, partially because I'm just like, I don't know how
True.
you're going to look at me for
That's
going
true.
through this. And it wasn't just my experience. It was a series of wilderness experience, and the biggest one just did not affect me. So
Ooh.
I was really careful about how I spoke, talked, and nurtured that part of my experience. So that's how the wilderness experience was born, honey, just out of my
Ooh.
own therapy.
Now I'm gonna say, mine's. I didn't realize I was in it till I was in the thick of it, as they say. So mine's, I would say, I didn't realize it was 2022 when I entered into my wilderness, and it was shortly after I
Wow.
released my book, and it hit me, and I'm just like, cause I'm thinking like I'm trying to do stuff, it's not working, or you
Mhm.
know, people I was close to weren't close to no more. Then it was just like a series of things. It seemed like everything that I was trying to do wasn't working,
Mhm.
and it was just hard. And then like I'm so certain people I would try to reach out, talk to, couldn't get in contact with them. So I'm like, okay, God, what going on? Like, did I do something wrong? And sometimes, like for me in my wilderness, it was like I did what God told me to do, and then it looked like it went left. It was a disaster. So
Yes.
it and I also with my wilderness, it was just me learning, getting prepared for the next step. Because a lot of times the wilderness, as I've seen, I don't know, I think you posted it one time, and it just hit me so hard. It was the wilderness was not meant for you to stay there. That's a passing through point. And
Right.
I didn't really, honestly, didn't get out of it till probably the end of 2023. So I was in that thing about a year, and year and some change, and it was hard. Like then I'm questioning myself, and it was just for me. And it's gonna segue to the first question. How would you
Mhm.
define the wilderness moment? Was it pleasant? Did you like it? Did you learn a lot? So how? Because mine was terrible. I think I cried for I know 1 month. A friend of mine, I called and complained. Like one person I could trust, I called and complained and cried.
Mhm.
And after a while, that friend was like, "Until you stop complaining, don't call me no more. Do not
Oh,
call." When I tell because I would literally from the time they pick up, I'm gonna do, oh, everything going wrong. This is I'm like, they couldn't get a word in, so I'm sitting there crying and complaining, and they just like, when you stop complaining, give me a call because you draining me. So,
man.
like I said, back to the question, how would you have defined your wilderness moment?
Oh my God. It was far from pleasant. It was nothing feels good
No.
about the wilderness moment, especially whenever you are first entered in. But I had to keep reminding myself, I'm like, is not punishment, it's preparation. I just
Ooh.
don't know what God is preparing me for right now. But I know that there's an end game to this. And it's scary. I went
Mm-hmm.
through every emotion. I was scared. I was angry. I was sad. Lord knows I was like, I was unhinged at one point, but it was such an internal storm because again, I didn't know how to fully talk about what I was going through. Now, the things that I was going through on my job, because whenever all of this was going on, the first thing that happened was I got a promotion, which is the position that I'm in now. And it's just like, yes, I've been
Ooh.
waiting on this. Come on, Lord. And then the next month, I lose half of my staff.
Ooh.
And there's 21 clinics that I'm now responsible for. And
Wow.
I'm just like, how am I going to do this with four people? I'm the fourth person. So
Mm.
that was one thing. So it was a high, and then it was just like a gut punch, and it's just like okay, but I could thug it out. I can still do this. I have tunnel vision, so I can get it done.
Mm-hmm.
Then shortly after that is whenever the biggest part of it happened, which was my brother started going to court, and that's the part of my wilderness experience that I protected because
Wow.
again. It wasn't just something that was affecting me. I was a casualty of war, and
Ooh.
that made me angry. That made me sad. That hurt me. And there it was out of my control. And I think that was the biggest lesson for
Mm-hmm.
me going through that wilderness experience was, do you trust me? And if you go back to that scripture, it says that God prepared a place for her in the
Hmm.
wilderness. So
Right.
I'm just like, Lord, I don't know what you're trying to birth.
Hmm.
These labor pains are starting to get to you, girl.
Right. That's true.
And there's no drugs that I can get for this.
It is.
So,
Yeah. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
oh, no, no, no. I was just saying, like, I went through a range of emotions, and it wasn't until that midpoint that it was starting to make sense. But I would be a lie to tell you that there were not many nights that I cried and many nights that I was just like, I don't know what I
Mm-hmm.
did wrong. I genuinely
Wow.
don't know what I did wrong. And having to really be honest with myself about what was hurting me and why
Ooh.
I didn't like this experience because I had no control. I'd never been here. My mom had never been here. Like I said before, there was no reference point for me. I had no reference point. And so that's what's scary about the wilderness because it's an
Mm-hmm.
uncultivated, inhospitable, uninhabitable region of land. You're the first one there.
True. That's true. And nobody's wilderness experience is the same. So it's kind of
Absolutely.
like you said, you can't go to somebody and ask, "Hey, what do I do to get through this?" And they like, "I ain't never experienced this." Because kind of like what mine was, I didn't have nobody that was going through what I was going through, and I had to realize, and like reference people in the Bible, like most people that were powerful went through a moment of wilderness before they got prepared before they went to their next. And I know for
Mhm.
me, mine was just transitioning from the hurt broken part of myself and accepting the healed version of myself and learning how to accept myself healed, because before I just did everything out of dysfunction and brokenness in
Ooh.
this pain. Like that's how I function. So now I don't have that old thing that I was coping with using anger or frustration. Now I have to learn how to use what I've learned through therapy and different things and not respond the way that I used to, because I'm like, it don't
Mhm.
work no more. Those clothes don't work no more. So
Come on.
you absolutely right. Like, and it was hard because, like you were saying, like you automatically think, did I do something wrong? Because for a while I was in it, and I'm like, what did I do wrong? Then I'm thinking, like, is this some bad seed I've sown or something? And it's like, no, those wilderness moments or intentional is birthing something. It's preparing you right before you birth that next thing. And I remember
Yes.
seeing Pastor Keon say that one time about the wilderness or valley moments. You're in between two peaks, so you're about to go, you just came
Mm.
off of something, now you're about to go back up to another
Yeah.
high point. So I was like, and I think when I seen that, I said, that is so true. So I'm embarking on something new that I have not not equipped, because like I said, I'm getting rid of my old self, my the bad part of myself and accepting who I am now. So next question I want to ask is, what ways did this experience change you? How did it change your perspective on life?
Ooh. Oh man. Um, like I said in the beginning, I felt like it was a punishment. But then I had to be reminded of some of the things that God had spoken over my life and the things that I was requiring and requesting of God for my life. And
Mm-hmm.
so everything that I was having, that I went through and that I was going through, I had to look at it as, okay, if you're going to be, not if, but when you are CEO of your own company, you have to learn how to deal with transition. You have to learn
Ooh,
how to deal with the unexpected. You have to learn how to really rise up and be a leader. And then, more importantly, what does that look like? And not just a
ooh,
leader on your job, but just a leader in general, because I called you for greater. And sometimes, I get comfortable. People think that I'm like this social butterfly. I just can
right.
operate as an extrovert. But I'm real cool with sitting back, being observant, and being a cheerleader. I love
Mhm.
that spot. So I was put in a position to where I had to make decisions that I never had to make before for
Mhm.
a group of people that did not it every decision that was made affected more than me. And then I had to learn, I thought that I was a team player,
Ooh,
but I really had to learn that I wasn't a team player as much as I thought that I was, because there was a little bit of
wow.
mistrust that I had, just because I'm used to doing it myself. But then why do you have a team if you're going to do it yourself?
Exactly.
And so
Oh,
I had to learn to, and I think that speaks to the importance of having, and not only having an active support system, but allowing them to actually pour into you. And I am beyond grateful and thankful for my support system, because they didn't ask any questions. They didn't,
mm,
and it, what do you need? And I'm just like, I don't know. I just need
ooh.
a hug right now. And when I tell you they will show up, my people, one of my best friends, her name is Aisha too.
She good people. I don't even know her. Look.
She's amazing. She really is. But when I say that she and Toya and Michelle and Whitney, and I have such a great support system. My sister,
Mhm.
everybody showed up for me when I didn't know what that looked like in that moment. I just knew I needed somebody to pour into my cup, and I just did not have the strength to do it myself.
Wow.
Lauren was another one that was vital during that time. And Lauren, just like you and I've been knowing Lauren I met her through Aisha. Lauren and I have been knowing each other for years and have never physically laid eyes on one
What?
another. But she fed a lot into me. Like I didn't know how to show up for myself. I was
Ooh,
literally in
that's deep.
autopilot. So my support system, my team, my squad really helped me labor through that, because the
Right.
laboring was excruciating. Now I am
Labor
not
is not
an
fun.
no, and I've never given birth to an actual person before, and I just killed my aloe vera plant. So I don't physically
Jeez.
know what labor.
Labor, it does not feel good at all. It's, I think
You know?
you were talking the other day, and I was saying it because I was explaining, because I have a child, so I was like, it's labor is, you don't like it, you hate every minute of it, but when you see that child at the end, you smile. You just like, who is over with. But that's the wilderness. Honestly, is like giving birth to something, because essentially you
Yes.
are. And I'm what I learned is expect the unexpected. What people don't realize about me, I like everything to be planned out to the T. Like, okay, this gonna happen at 2:45, and at 3 o'clock
Okay.
it's gonna happen. I'm one of them people. Like you, if I'm late, I'm intentionally on late on purpose, because I just probably don't want to go. So
Hmm.
I'm just one of them people. Like, you can, if I say I'm gonna do something for you, you can take it to the bank, take that check to the bank and cash it. So
Yeah.
I learned how to expect the unexpected. Rest. I used to
Oh,
be one of the people, just I gotta do this, gotta do that, I gotta be over here, gotta go over there. And I believe I had to learn how to sit down in some moments, like rest, because I was just how I was raised. You got to get it. You got to
Yeah.
do this. You got to go. You got to, this ain't working. Go to the next thing. And sometimes we got to learn how to rest. Because if you're not fully functioning on rest, how you going to get and properly execute the next thing if rest not? And then I don't like to lose. So,
Yeah.
Lord has
Oh,
shown me like, you got, he working with me on that. You got to lose some things to gain some things. Because sometimes our
what you
hands are too
said.
full and we carry too much. So I know I had too many things, too many people, too many, just everything, and I had to just lose some things, or things had to quote unquote fall apart for me to realize, okay, like you were saying, I had to learn how to be a team player because I'm one of people self sufficient. Used to be. Let me rephrase
There.
that. I used to be. Now I learn how to delegate. Say, hey, I can do this. I'm not gonna be able to do that. So I had to learn how to delegate and just be okay with accepting the new thing. Because if I stayed in that old place, where was I
Mhm.
gonna end up?
In the
what was
same
next for
spot.
me?
You ain't gonna go far. And that's the
Exactly.
beauty of, I think, one of the other biggest lessons that I had to learn, I had to go back and reset boundaries with myself.
Say that again.
Boundaries, boundaries are your friend. Even though in that moment I had to come to some realizations
Mm-hmm.
that, okay, the boundaries that I had in last season is going to have to look a little different for this season, because this,
Ooh.
I haven't been here before. So what is it that I need in this moment? And what is it that I have to be okay with offending people with my no about? So I had to
I
take
want
back
to.
ownership of that. And there were some things that I had to say no to for myself. No, cancel that plan. You
Mm-hmm.
you are literally running on fumes right now. Sit your butt down somewhere. Resting is something that I still struggle with, but I'm a lot better with, simply
Right.
because I cannot be my best self running on fumes and feeling like I got to go out here and save the world. But I, how can I save the world if I can't even save myself? And I
Mm-hmm.
pride myself on not being the type of therapist that just tells something to my clients that I'm not practicing myself. I
Ooh.
guinea pig on myself first before I ever give anything to them, because I can't help you walk through this thing if I haven't laid the blueprint, if you will, for it.
Absolutely.
So I can help guide you with that. In this situation, I had to reset boundaries with myself and lean on other people to help guide me in some parts of that. And some parts I just really had to learn to rest in God and learn to be his child. That's probably the
Mm.
number one thing that I
Ooh.
learned through the wilderness, is that, okay, Lord, you got me.
Mm-hmm.
I don't have to figure it out. I don't have to fight against myself. I don't have to fight against you. And I don't even have to fight the world right now.
Right.
I learning to be his child was something that was very uncomfortable for me, because I'm human, so I equated to the experience, the earthly experiences that I had, and
True.
I didn't realize that I was trying to be God. I didn't
Ooh.
realize that.
I do that. Mm-hmm.
So, I had to sit back and just be like, okay, Lord, I'm learning to be your
Mm-hmm.
child. I'm learning to rest in you. And I'm still figuring out what that looks like as
Me too.
I continue on this journey. But boundaries and resting in God, you said something when you was like, learn to rest, because I didn't know how to do that. Child, I had COVID and was cleaning my baseboards.
Huh?
Yeah.
You
I'm
should
just
have
like,
been there. You
yeah.
can see it go through so many layers. It could be because we were raised a certain way. Sometimes it's trauma.
Yes.
Sometimes it's just different things that we just do and don't realize it's hurting us more. Like you said, had to learn how to trust God. Because I
Yeah.
know me, I'm guilty of treating God like people. Because I'm like, people will flake on you in a minute. So I'm up here treating God like he a person. He's
Yeah.
far not nowhere comparison to a person. So it's
Yes.
just like I had to learn that, like you said, learning how to have those healthy boundaries. Like my issues, I have boundaries. People, I don't know how to let people in. My first response
Mhm.
to people is no, no. Like I typically know. So if me and a person is good, if I say yes on the inside, I'm probably crying because I'm like, oh, I want to say no, but I have to learn how. So I have to learn how to say yes because, like you said, we need each other, and
Yeah.
people are. I'm going through it, and it's gonna segue to my next question. Do you feel you found your way out of the wilderness? Do you feel like you're still in it, or have you
Mm.
found your way out?
Ooh, that's a good question. I feel that I you know what? I'm gonna say this with my whole chest. I do feel like that I am out of that wilderness, but I'm better prepared
Mm.
for it's almost like a path has been laid if I have to revisit it again, because it's no longer an uncultivated, uninhabitable, unhospitable place. It's a training ground now.
Ooh, that's
So
good.
there's not as much fear that I have going in if I was to face it again. And even if it was to look exactly like the last season. When I
Ooh.
cut my hair, that was so I feel like that was my official letting go, and that was me officially allowing myself to enter out of the
Mm.
wilderness, because my hair was damaged, not because of the style that I got. It was a heavier style than what I normally do, but my
Mm.
hair was damaged already because I carried so much from last year. And
Ooh.
just like anything, our bodies, our hair, it speaks to us. We don't listen to it all the time, but it
No.
tells us exactly what it needs. And I was covering it up. I was covering up when I should have let it go. And I should have cut the damage off before I even tried to cover it up with a protective style, but I didn't, because I'm trying to hold on to it. And that's
Ooh.
why, like, I'm the type of person, if you know me, I have an emotional attachment to my hair. And I
Really?
was like, oh God, yes. I've always had longer hair. I pride myself on my hair, but I'm just
Hmm.
like, you know what? Like, Lord, this is my new year. This is my new
Mm.
year. So everything, wherever the damage is, I didn't care how short she had to go. Wherever the
Ooh.
damage was, I had to let it go. Because I could not go into a new season, and I could not walk out of my
Hmm.
wilderness carrying the same things that I came in there with in the first place. I
Oh
couldn't keep
goodness.
the same damage and think that I was going to be productive into my new season.
My goodness. That's true because it made me think of, even though this a secular song, Erica Badu, Bag Lady. I always love the song.
Oh,
It's the lyrics. You
yes,
carry too much stuff. You gonna miss your bus. You got too
yes.
much stuff. When they see you coming, I ain't gonna say the word. They gonna get off, keep on running. I
Come
ain't
on.
gonna say the word.
We
Yeah,
know
you know what
the
I'm saying.
lyrics.
That's so true. You have to learn how to put that baggage down, put those things down. Because, like you said, even hair, and still sometimes, most times they say when women cut their hair, they're about to do some major change in life, or they say a woman
Yeah,
cut her hair, she going through a breakup. But most times it's a significant change for a woman, and
yeah.
that's true because I've cut my hair probably about, oh Lord, 4 times in life, and I'm really about that cold doing it again. But because I've always had, I'm like you, I've always had long hair, and I used to be that way. But now, because I'm like, I have locks, but I'm at the point now, I'm like, I want something different. I'm like, I want to so bad, but I'm like, I'm trying not to wait because I might say that then to show up like, yep, it's all over. But definitely, I would say for me, I would say I'm out of it, out of the
Mhm.
wilderness. But like I know that the wilderness is a continuous thing, so it'll be another phase in life that you'll go in and be in another
Yeah.
wilderness with another scenario in life. And that's the thing, because we're constantly evolving, we're constantly
Mhm.
growing, we're constantly learning things, and then we're also getting older, each time, and being prepared for something else. So I definitely, I don't want to go through another wilderness though. If I could say, if I could, have them things you see on Facebook, like, Lord, if I'm on the strongest soldiers list, please
Take me off.
let me skip about 2 years or so. I don't want to be
But
on.
But in reference to that though, I do keep in mind the Instagram that you had sent me a few weeks ago where it talks about your wilderness, and you're like literally right there knocking on you could be
Right.
praying and asking God to take something away from you, but he's taking you through it for a reason. And that stuff like that keeps me going, and it doesn't make me afraid to be in the wilderness again.
Like what you sent me this morning, like, oh, that's powerful. And then like even because the scripture she referenced, like, even when I'm in this wilderness, this low place, he provides for me. He gonna
Yes.
send a person with a word. Even like one of my favorite stories in the Bible is Elijah. Like he spoke, said it wasn't gonna rain for 3 years, and then he went to the wilderness, and God
Mhm.
put him in the most uncomfortable position where he had a brook, and a brook normally don't keep that much water. The ravens who normally eat everything had to feed him. So it's just like even when I'm in my worst situation,
Mhm.
God gonna send what I need. I'm gonna be okay. And like you said, the thing is
Absolutely.
victory at the end. I'm gonna get through it, but most of us don't want to go through because it don't feel good. And I believe culture sometimes because again we see the highlights, we see all the good things, but nobody
Yeah.
talk about the moments where I want to tap out like because most people say, Aisha, you're so strong, and I'm like, Chad, you don't understand. Some days I'd be like, I give up, I surrender, but my spirit will not let me lay down and give up. And it's
Mm.
just like I know it's so many people that are attached to me that are assigned to me what I'm doing, just like with you.
Ooh.
That's the thing, like that's what keep me going sometimes because I be wanting to fold it, and sometimes I be like, yeah, God, I ain't doing nothing today. Get somebody else to do it. No, I'm just rebelling. No, I'm good. You can have it. The bigger picture, my vision is not just for me. The longer I
Yeah.
prolong it, the longer somebody else in their wilderness.
Oh, let me take another sip of water off of that one because you
Right.
said I said I was gonna buy me a wig just so I could wear it and snatch it off. Snatch my wig. Okay, I'm gonna take some water though off of that one. I'm gonna take some water.
Right. So it's definitely so I mean all in all I had to learn how to just go with the flow, expect the unexpected, and every day's not gonna be a good day, but still is good in the day. Even how bad I
Oh,
may think a situation is, I have to find the good in it. But
right.
so it's just whew, when you made that post, it just it sent me because it showed me that I'm not alone. And that's why I wanted to have you on this talk because
Wow.
I'm like, we've been talking back and forth and it's
Yeah.
so many layers to being because one thing I wrote down, being vulnerable and transparent, there's a difference.
Yes.
Vulnerability is peeling back layers, but how many people are gonna be transparent enough to show somebody a clear view, like, hey, I'm an open book. This is what I got. Now, I want people. There's certain things that are off limits, but for the most
Yeah.
part, I am an open book. But some things, some areas is like a no for me. But
Right.
so definitely, I think the last thing, because I'm thinking, let me see what else I got, because I ain't gonna hold you too long. What advice would you give someone? This is the last question. What advice would you give someone that's going through the wilderness moment now?
Mm. What advice would I give them?
Yes.
Ooh, it's simple, but it's very loaded. Keep going. It's it sounds simple in
Right.
theory,
And
but
it
to
don't.
execute it, you're not going to get through it if you stop. You're going to
Mm-hmm.
prolong the time that you have there in your wilderness moment. And again, we go back to going being in a wilderness doesn't necessarily mean that you're being punished. There's
Right.
preparation that's taking place there. So this is your training ground. What is it like when you look at I googled something this morning. I'm just like, how many folks in the Bible went through a wilderness? And how long did it take them?
Out.
And it's just like, but every time they went in, they came out greater. There was a version of them that died there in that wilderness
My
to
goodness.
pick up who they needed to become and who they needed to be once they left out of that particular wilderness. And just like everything around us, there's a season for
Mm-hmm.
everything. So we're going to go back through a wilderness moment. It may not look like this last one, and
Right.
it more than likely look different. But in order to get on the other side, you got to go through it. So that was my training ground. That
Mm-hmm.
was my training ground for everything that I'm going to need and who I need to be in this season. So
All
simple
right.
but loaded. Go through it. That's the only way to get through it is to go through it and grow through it. It's not there to stagnate you. But if
Mm-hmm.
you keep repeating the same thing, then eventually, because I'm a little hard headed, and after a while, I get tired of busting my head to the white meat with the Lord. So I'm just like, okay, Lord,
She's still with the
what is it
Lord.
that I need to learn? What am I missing? Give me something. I need a word from you to let me
Mm-hmm.
know what I'm missing because I don't want to keep going through this. But just like healing, I'm not necessarily saying that it's a bad thing if you keep repeating the same wilderness, but I would question it. But much like healing, we don't heal linear. And just like
Mm-hmm.
we don't go through this thing called life in a linear direction, there's your valleys, there's your lows, and there's other places in between.
Mm-hmm.
Heal in layers and we heal in levels. And
Oh,
so when we are going through these phases in life, we have to understand that I may be on this same like podium, but there were so many things that led up to where I'm at at the tip of the iceberg.
right.
There's so many layers beyond that. So, go through it, grow through it, and know that there's a greater version of you on the other side, and that the preparation is never punishment.
Ooh, that's good. That's good. Look, I ain't look. You said it all. I thought I was gonna have something to say, but you did that one.
You
So
got some. I know you got something that's gonna
okay,
snatch these
if
edges.
look, I would definitely say like go through it. If I had to give somebody advice of the wilderness,
Mm,
you're being prepared. It don't feel
mm,
good. Um, it, and if everything was good, then when you get to the other side, you'll appreciate why you was in that wilderness. Because I had to learn, like even while I was in this weakened place, I was protected. So even though you may be weakened, you're protected. Everything
mhm.
you need is gonna be provided for, and it's preparing you for your greater. And a lot of times it's because of something we prayed for in the previous season. So God is getting us ready. It's like a battle. Like
It
you finna
is.
go to war. You gonna start working out. You gonna do what you gotta do. You gonna get conditioned to prepare for
Mhm.
this next level. So I had to realize I'm up here asking God for expansion and greater. You don't think He wasn't gonna prepare me to get stronger so I can get equipped so I can handle the next season. So definitely just go through it. When you pray them big prayers, those big things are gonna come with the prayers to prepare you. So
Come on.
I,
Because
so
because if you don't have the capacity, like, we pray for these things like the prayer of
mhm,
Jabez, Lord, enlarge my territory. These
that
prayers
part.
sound good. And girl, I was praying I prayed that prayer from 2005 all the way up until last year faithfully. But it didn't dawn on me what I was praying for. And I was just like, and I had to sit back. And this is whenever, I'm starting to come to grips and terms with this wilderness season. I'm like,
hmm
I didn't necessarily ask for it to come this way, but I asked
Right.
for it. I'm saying, Lord, enlarge my territory. This is what I want. And I'm just like, they say be intentional. And I
hmm
still desire and require these things. And I petition God for these things in the right time, in His right timing and season. But if I didn't have the capacity that I have
hmm
now prior to. So when we asking for this stuff, and then whenever we are being trained, you got to realize either I'm not ready just yet for what I'm
That
praying
part.
and asking God for. And in order for me to understand how to steward well over expanded territory, then I mean I got to go through some training. I got to go through some things. It ain't
Absolutely.
just gonna come just because we prayed and asked for it. He's going to prepare you. We just don't like the preparation.
No, we want the blessing. Like I don't want to go through the crushing and the breaking. No, just give me the blessing. And you're like, no. And like you said, you praying for it, and then that's something else I had to realize. I had been praying for certain things, and he was like, you ain't ready for it. You're absolutely right. And I had to get equipped for what had a capacity to handle what he was trying to put in my hand. Oh
Mm.
Lord. So right before we end, tell the people where they can find you, what events you got coming up next.
Oh man, I have a few.
Go ahead.
So you can find me on Facebook, Shanavia Clark Leverett. You can find me on Instagram, Navy NAVI underscore blue BLEAU. Phonetically, I know it don't spell blue, but it's cute. I like it, and it speaks to my Louisiana roots, child. So just roll with me, okay?
I like it though.
But events that are coming up. Uh I have next month. I am a part of an amazing panel of ladies that's called the Iconic Women. Oh my God, I'm gonna mess it up. Iconic Women's Conference. It's a 2 day conference that's taking place in Mobile, Alabama at the Renaissance Hotel. Apostle Davinia Reynolds is the visionary behind that, and I'm just honored to be a part of this panel of amazing ladies that I am really gleaning from.
Mm-hmm.
And then in October, I'm hosting my own event, Choose You Sis, The
Yes.
Wilderness. That will be in Wiggins, Mississippi. Tickets are on sale. Y'all, please get these
Please get
tickets,
them. Please get them.
or we will be sitting outside, splitting up sandwiches. But
Hey,
still gonna get this word
you get
though.
this
You still,
word. Hey, they need it. Choose you, sis. They need it.
yes. And then finishing up in October with Miss Katie's conference that she has going on. So
Right.
that's that's all that I have so far. I'm pretty sure there'll be something in between there. But I am just grateful and honored for anybody that allows me to be a part of the journey and that gives me the opportunity to try to speak life and plant seeds for someone else.
Mm,
And thank you for allowing me to be the first guest, but
thank you.
also just for allowing me to be a part of the journey. Like, this has been such a beautiful experience, and I cannot wait to see how everything unfolds and everything that God has for you moving forward.
Oh,
So, my good sis, thank you so much.
don't make me cry. Look. Well,
Hey, girl.
I appreciate it. I'm so glad that you was my first guest, and it worked out perfectly. So
Oh,
I'm just glad, and I'll be having many more conversations with different people on My Heart Cries, and it'll be different topics of different things of what people are not normally talking about. Because right now, it's a lot going on in the world, and it's just sometimes people need that little small glimpse of hope, faith to keep going to the next thing. So I am Aisha. Thank you for tuning in to My Heart's Cries. Until next time.
bye, y'all.
Bye.